How difficult is this situation, Prof?
Well, it is difficult because of the consequence, but it is not difficult if people can put their thinking hats on. You have a situation where you have projected capital expenditures, and you've based it on a deficit budget. Now, the money is not there, and you want somebody to approve it for you. What you need is somebody who can get these people together and say, please approve it. What you need is a shared vision. A political will, a political shared vision. You see, ideally, majority, I go back to this idea of shared vision and the flawed relationship between legislative and executive power. People from the same party normally would be on the same page for what they want to achieve with the country, for the country. And because they have that, they will be thinking together. And where, for any reasons in the world, which is a legitimate thing in a federal presidential system, if a constituency feels they've been cut out for any reason, they should have a rallying point, which could be the seat of the political party, which could be the seat of the presidency, that will bring them together and say, what do we do? Elsewhere, there is a cabinet or a minister for parliamentary affairs, somebody who liaises between the government and the parliament. Elsewhere, there is a room in which, whether it's a parliamentary system or federal system, where the executive sits down and say, when we want to pass a law or approve a nomination, how many legislators do we have on our side that will pass it? If we need 100 votes and we have 45, then we know we're short of some votes. And we go and talk to them one by one, and we reason with them, and we reach out to them. And where that does not happen, we call them out.
All right. Let me bring Mr. Adigba into this. What are your fears, Mr. Adigba, politically speaking? Because when you talk about approvals for the loans or the loans to service the capital expenditure, and now the same people are calling you to the table to say, come and explain to us why you're not spending.
So, look, here is the problem. No matter how flat a pancake is, it's got two sides. Now, the senators are speaking to their own side of the story, but we have the two sides. We know how long it took them to pass the budget, of course. And of course, we're talking about the same people who were on recess for 62 days. They never expressed any concern about budget implementation. They just got back, and then there is all this. Listen, look, it is not strange to have a political party dominate the assembly and still don't get things done. We're watching that in the United States right now. The Republicans control the presidency, they control the Congress. And you can see that even to pass the health bill law is a difficult thing for them. Every time you have, no matter the best effort of President Trump, the Vice President Mike Pence, Senate Leader Mitch McConnell, you had people like Senator Alicia McCoskey, Susan Collins, John McCain saying, we are not going along. But here's the problem. The problem is that when it comes to issue of incentive, all right, members of the National Assembly in Nigeria are compatible. Incentives that borders on their benefits.
The personal incentives.
Yes, they are compatible. But when it comes to issues that borders on the general welfare of the Nigerian people, then you have this legalistic approach to issues, and that is worrisome. And look, you talked about the political implication. I think that, look, the APC, the ruling party, should be careful. Like he said, the president should do more politics. He should politicize more, politicize more, get his people together. But here we have a problem where members of his party are beginning to play the role of the opposition.
They are not on the same boat.
They are not on the same boat.
And that is the American experience you're talking about. Because the reason why Trump is being blocked, actually, is because those people do not share his view at all.
Yes.
They do not even share his vision. And it's sad to see that happen here because there should be no reason for it.
Very, very sad.
I think somebody needs to do more. I think somebody needs to negotiate more, incentivize more. And I think probably the public needs to be carried along more.
But again, are you also afraid that looking at the fact that the election here is around the corner, and there's another election cycle just around the corner?
Part of the problem here is, you know, like Bismarck, the one he said, when you are spending, don't forget that the government manage the economy. It's a balancing act. You know, if you spend too much, you also create other problems like inflation and all that. You have too much excess liquidity and all that. So the government needs to be very careful. But what I understand this guy is saying is that, look, we budgeted this money for you, and you just have to spend. But they are also not looking at the fact that this is a deficit budget that needs approval for borrowing. And that approval will have to come from them. Right. They have not given that approval, and they are saying, look, come and tell Nigerians what you have done with the money we have given to you.
All right. Before I get your final submissions on the program, let me allow Mr. Bismarck Rwani to give us a sense of what the implication these might be for Nigeria, financially speaking, of course. When this kind of pessimism, though there is need for checks and balances, that's where the legislature comes in. But what do you see when they say we are out of recession, but the spending that took us out of recession, we are not doing it. We are not sustaining it. What are your fears, Mr. Rwani?
There is a point here that we are coming out of a recession where we are only growing by 0.5%.
Yeah.
We could have grown much faster if we had spent earlier,
Absolutely.
if we had invested earlier. So timing is everything. But as we are trying to do it speedily, we should also not forget we are coming from a position where there's been impunity and corruption. So we've got to manage. The president has to politicize and has to meet with his legislators to carry them along. The Minister of Finance has to provide the revenue and block the leakages.
All right.
The Minister of Budget has to ensure that everything is within the context. So these are early stages of democracy and teething problems. But the point is that we are in the midst of an economic crisis called a recession, and you need to step it up.
All right.
South Africa came out of recession at 2.5% growth. And Ghana is going at 9%. We can do much better than 0.5%.
Okay. Mr. Rwani, let me allow Professor Kila here and Mr. Adigba to give us their final submissions on the program. We just have about 45 seconds to round up before we close the program. Professor Kila, let me start with you. From now, there is a warning, a signal.
Yes.
What would you advise that we do right now, the government?
I think the government and everybody needs to adopt a sense of urgency and a capacity to solve problems. And that capacity means understanding reality and finding what you need to do. You can change the date of the budget calendar if need be.
Okay. Mr. Adigba, your final thought.
Well, I want everybody in government to know that governance is a collective responsibility. This attitude is that, you know, we are not part of what is going on. You understand? It's not going to help anybody.
Mr. Curtis Adigba, policy analyst and a lawyer, and Professor Kila, a former Cambridge professor. Thank you so much for your thoughts here. Mr. Bismarck Rwani, friend of the house. Thank you so much for your thoughts there. And that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for being part of it. I'm Sean Kimbaloe. Bye for now.